Right now, it might be a little bit too early to start going over fantasy football stuff, but I figured why not get it out ahead of time. But just a disclaimer, please do not draft your fantasy teams before preseason is wrapped up completely. Don't do it. It is the biggest mistake you can possibly make. I mean, look at whoever. I know you're watching this. I know one of you guys drafted J.K. Dobbins last year. That's what happens when you don't wait till the preseason is completely over with. You're asking for it at that point. So please wait till the week before the season, draft your teams. It's just the safest way to do it. I figured why not kind of go over my take on who I think the Jags have that may be, they may have some value in fantasy football this season. Before I get into it, just want to thank you guys for clicking on the video and checking it out. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe. Analytics are telling me 75% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So yeah, if you could take a second, hit that sub button. It's perfectly free. You can unsub at any point in time. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it. Now, for you guys who are watching, you guys probably know fantasy football. You're really only drafting offensive players. In some leagues, you draft a kicker and a defense. And in some leagues, you have an IDP league where you can have defensive players. But for the most part, people pretty much play standard, just offense and maybe a kicker and a defense. So it's probably going to be a quick video. Only a couple people to really go over. Just to give you my take on the value of our guys in fantasy this upcoming season. So leading the way, we have Trevor Lawrence, who is QB 17 and is currently being drafted in the 7th round. As far as quarterbacks go, I wouldn't personally feel comfortable going into a season with Trevor Lawrence as my QB1 in fantasy. It doesn't really provide too much rushing stats compared to other guys. I mean, and don't take this too seriously. Jalen Hurts is QB6. Do I think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence? Absolutely not. But in fantasy, there's a lot of value to rushing. And Trevor Lawrence will get you a little bit of it, but not too much to where he's really a dual threat. And as far as just passing touchdowns and passing yards, it's a brand new offense, brand new head coach, brand new OC, brand new targets. You really don't know what it's going to look like. I'm hopeful and I expect it to be explosive, but I can't guarantee they're going to put up crazy numbers. So going into a season, I'd take a flyer on Trevor Lawrence as maybe a QB2, a high-end backup. But yeah, I don't think I'd feel too comfortable in a 10-team league with Trevor Lawrence being my starting quarterback. All right, up next we have the running backs. And I love both of their ADP, their average draft position. Travis Etienne is currently halfback 22, being taken in round 6. And James Robinson is halfback 35, being taken in round 11. I love both of these options. Travis Etienne is going to give you a ton of passing or a ton of receiving stats in fantasy. So if you guys play PPR, points per reception, he's probably going to be an absolute freak. He's going to have probably the lead back role for, who knows how long if J-Rob does miss time. But even if J-Rob's there, a lot of teams you see nowadays are running a committee style offense where they have more than one featured back. They really don't have many bell cows in the NFL anymore. So if I can get Travis Etienne in the 6th round, absolutely. A really high-end RB2, I think. I don't mean to hit on the Jags too much, but, if you are losing a game, you're more inclined to throw the ball. And you're going to see a lot of garbage time receptions from Travis Etienne, which is, amazing for fantasy owners. And then for James Robinson, to buy low in round 11, I would definitely take a flyer at James Robinson because, again, there's a lot of committees out there. Both of these guys, J-Rob's established as a really good running back, but Etienne's projected to be also a really good running back in this league. So if I can have both of these guys for their ADPs, I'd rather have them both than just one or the other. That way, if anything happens, God forbid, you have the backup. And just depending on how the offense looks, you can play whoever you want. And there's even value of James Robinson at full health being a flex option as well. Even if Etienne is taking most of the snaps, James Robinson, is definitely going to score you touchdowns, that's for sure. So yeah, I'd definitely feel comfortable taking a flyer on either one of those two. All right, now for the wide receiver position, I think this is an absolute steal. Christian Kirk is currently wide receiver 35, being taken in round 10. If you're playing in a fantasy league and people are drafting and he's still sitting there in round 10, please take him. Money talks. He's going to be a huge focal point of the offense. I would definitely take a flyer on Christian Kirk, especially that late. You're really not taking too much risk there, so I'd definitely go Christian Kirk. He's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of receptions, again with garbage time situations. Yeah, so I definitely would consider that, and especially PPR. I think he's going to get a ton of receptions. So, that just adds to his value even more. So being wide receiver 35, I think is tremendous value for a guy like Christian Kirk. And as far as the other wide receivers go, I don't think I'd touch a single one of them. Unless you're in deeper leagues, maybe throw a flyer out there on Laviska Shenault just because of his versatility, and it might get rushing and receiving stats. I'm not sure how big of a part he's going to be in this offense, but we didn't trade him, and Doug Peterson likes him so far, so there's value there. And then Marvin Jones Jr. Guy scores a lot of touchdowns. A familiar face for Trevor that he was pretty fond of throwing to last season. Connected for a bunch of big plays. So if you're in a deeper league, maybe take a shot on Marvin Jones or Laviska. But other than that, I wouldn't touch Zay Jones as of right now. And definitely not, Laquan Treadwell, Jamal Agnew. Again, really, decent receivers, but just the fantasy value, I'd stay away for sure. And then last but not least, tight end Evan Ingram. Currently listed as tight end 21 and going undrafted in most leagues. I'd take a shot on a guy like Evan Ingram. Not many people draft 2 tight ends, but in the NFL right now, not a ton of great NFL tight end options for fantasy. You got your top few. You got your Kelsey, your Mark Andrews. You got that kind of group of people, and it kind of falls off a little bit after that. Darren Waller. If I'm forgetting somebody, I apologize, but yeah, there's a decent sized gap between the first tier and the second tier. And if you can get a guy like Evan Ingram in a Doug Peterson offense where they utilize the tight end so frequently, and was a huge part of why he came to Jacksonville to begin with, I would absolutely take a shot on Evan Ingram for sure. Wouldn't be too confident if he's my tight end 1 going into the season, but yeah, if I can snag him in one of the later rounds, I would be thrilled. There's a lot of upside there. Very low risk, very high reward situation, to where if you take him in one of the last few rounds and it doesn't pan out, you can just drop him and you didn't lose out on anything really that significant. So yeah, I would 100% take a shot on Evan Ingram late. I would stay away from Dan Arnold and Chris Manhertz and Luke Farrell for sure. Evan Ingram, I really think, is the only draftable tight end on the team right now. So yeah, there's my overview of our current situation right now and where our guys fit in with fantasy value. Fantasy football is not NFL football. The value is not the same. Jalen Hurts is QB6. In no way, shape, or form is he the 6th best quarterback in the league. Trevor Lawrence is QB17. I would feel more comfortable with him as my QB2 than my QB1, but definitely still draftable for sure. A lot of upside there. As far as the running backs go, I'd take a flyer on both. I'd prefer to have both of them on my team just so I can kind of rotate them however I choose. And, again, God forbid anything happens, I have the backup. They're both really good options. I think ETN's RB2 value, along with James Robinson potentially, depending on how he looks, coming back from his Achilles injury, I think he has flex value, especially in deeper leagues, 100%. Receivers, I'd take Christian Kirk, 100%. I think he's going to have a ton of receptions this year. I'd probably stay away from the rest, unless, again, you're in a deeper league. I'd take a flyer on Laviska Shenault or Marvin Jones. Those are really the only two. And then tight end Evan Ingram, going undrafted in most leagues. Lot of potential there in a Doug Peterson offense where, again, the tight end is utilized so highly. So yeah, I'd take a flyer on Evan Ingram. Definitely wouldn't want to walk away with him being my tight end 1 on draft night, but as a backup option just to see how it looks, I think there's a lot of value there. So yeah, there's my overview. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter. The link will be in the description. Appreciate you guys checking it out. And as always, go Jags.